right, people, we are back with a bonus round, back with one step away from how are we doing. This will be a quick in and out session where we're going to have a look back on previous podcasts and what the current situation is now. So the two topics we'll be covering will be Black History / Black Lives Matter and COVID. All right, I want to encourage people here to follow us on all social media platforms. Please look us up. It's one step away from 1SAF, the number 1 SAF. Please check us out on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and all other social media platforms. Please follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, yeah? Help us get out there. If you like this, please help to promote us, all right? We do this for you, all right? All right then, boys, we're coming for a quick little bonus session just to keep the people them up there and keep our brains working too in the hiatus coming into season 2. So just want to throw this out there. So we done a podcast, yeah, back when on Black Lives Matter. All happened when George Floyd's situation, and suddenly there was a massive worldwide outburst where protests were going on. There was outcries, and technically people had enough of what was always going on. Yeah, this one video of George Floyd being choked out with the knee on his neck to a certain police officer who, by the way, got his bail money paid for and he's now out. Yeah, which is interesting that he even got allowed to get given bail.
Sorry, Kate, can you just say the figure on that bail as well? So I think it's important.
What? Okay. Would you like to say the figure?
$1 million.
Say that again.
$1 million.
One more time for the people. One more time for the people.
I ain't gonna say it again.
a milli.
Yeah, if you missed it, that's you. But hey, listen.
So wait a minute.
Carry on.
Oh, I'm not gonna go deep into that. See, you're gonna draw me out. How does a police officer earning roughly around, shall we say, 35 to 40 US dollars? How does he afford £1 million bail?
Listen. Like I said, we're not going down that road.
No.
We're just saying it. We're just putting it out there and leave it.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. There's people who earn 80 grand a year who wouldn't be able to put up £1 million bail. That's all I'm saying. So someone else helped him out. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Black Lives Matter. Remember that, yeah. So we're going to look back at now that this whole period. There seems to be a journey that this whole Black Lives Matter energy and movement is going long. I put it to you that the energy has actually dipped. These so-called pro-black heads, whether you're black or any other culture or any other race or creed, if you've been about this Black Lives Matter movement, I'm asking, where are you now? Because you should still be there. Yeah? And then we're in the period right now in Black History Month too. Where are you? Where's the same screaming and where's the energy? As M always say, where's the energy? Will you keep the same energy? Yeah? So I just want to put this out to the group. Speaking about Black History Month, the time that we're in now, is Black History Month appreciated within the UK? One more time. Is Black History Month appreciated within the UK? Boys.
On a whole generic scale, I would say no. Obviously, there's little pockets of appreciation amongst the black community, but on the whole, no. As the country itself or the media is not supporting it as they would do other movements, endeavors. So yeah, simply, I could go deeper, but simply no. There isn't the same, isn't appreciated in my eyes, in my humble opinion.
I'll start with a question. What is Black History Month? Or let's get rid of the month. What is Black History?
Is that a question, rhetorical question for the people?
For both.
Oh, okay. In my opinion, Black History Month, and I've said this a few times, Black history in terms of what we are taught, whether in schools, etc., by this society in the UK, it is technically white history of Black history. It is white history. It's not Black history, is it? It's white history. It's white people's or white nations or white historians' rendition of their history with us. And then it gets called Black history. And then we are then steered to focus on a certain element of white people's engagement with us, which stems from slavery. So I think it's called, the real terminology in terms of how it is displayed in society or taught within schools, especially, is that it's white history or Black history. If we're talking about Black history, we are talking about something much more larger and deeper, more complex and more invigorating than slavery.
Okay. So on that note, is it appreciated? Because our understanding, us boys on this platform, our understanding of Black history, like you said, is much, much deeper, more complex than what's out there. And I'm sure if any of our listeners and our viewers do their own research, they will also find that. So, after doing that research and everything else that we know, boys, amongst ourselves, is it appreciated? Because let's not mistake one thing here. Black people have built nations.
Literally.
If you've got a problem with that, and if you disagree, please let us know and bring your facts to the table, because boy oh boy have we got some facts for you. So
I don't think they're ready for that, you know.
So this is not just us being pushing agenda. No. It's straight facts. We've built from, you can go Egypt, the pyramids, you can go wherever you want to go. You can go even back to World War One, World War Two. We were there, you know. We didn't just come with the Windrush. We didn't just come literally 400 years ago. We were there all the way.
Yep. The originators.
So, that being said, are we appreciated? Because like you said, we get given a month, and that month is focused on slavery, Kunta Kinte, the roots mainly. That's all they talk about. But they forget a lot of stuff that we invented. Every time you have a peanut butter sandwich, who made that? Every time you look up at a light bulb, the filament inside the light bulb, who invented that? To just name a few.
Yeah.
Jack Daniels that you order when you go out for a drink with your mates and everything else. Jack Daniels and Coke. I've heard loads of people, I don't drink myself, I've heard loads of people ordering that. Guess who invented that? Relearn the history and then tell me we are appreciated or we're not.
That's so powerful what you said there. Relearn that should even be a theme of this poddy, man. Relearn. Jeez, I'm telling you. Because when you relearn, it requires you to unlearn. When you relearn something, you have to unlearn. You can't keep, oh boy, I could even go to a biblical scripture when talks about pouring out the old wine.
Jeez.
But I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, let's go.
I think there's two. I've got two views on this. Firstly, is it appreciated in the UK? From my experience or from my observation, no, not really. Let's be real. And even us as Black men, and for our viewers that are Black, it's never really been as significant as it should be. But there's reasons for that, as Kay mentioned. This is being done from a point of view, not from the owners of the history or the actual people that the history is talking about. So there's not an appreciation. I worked since I have, just from a work standpoint, obviously I've worked since the age of 13, 14. It wasn't until I was 29 until I saw within my workplace an actual focus on Black History Month, where I'm walking into the office and there's pictures of inventors, pictures of the first Black person to do X, the first Black person to do Y. And that really hit me because it took that long and a change of my working environment and coming to a new company to see actually an effort being made. But anyway, overall, no. However, I do think, especially in recent times and especially in the current climate, that we as Black people are starting to take ownership of the month. Should it be a month? Absolutely not. Should it be actually a curriculum, a syllabus, something that is continuously spoken about and not just parked into the end of the year when there's other distractions, also other days and histories that are celebrated in that same month? Should it be an ongoing thing? Absolutely. But is this what it is for now? Yes. But what we have for now and what I'm seeing for now is that we are starting to take ownership and we're starting to speak up. We're starting to talk about the event and be proud. We're starting to actually share that actually there is more to our history than slavery. And that's probably the positive that I can take, that we are starting to take we're starting to kind of own it. We didn't own it before. We were just told, like, this is your little month, and accept or be appreciative of the month. But actually, no, we're saying actually, no, this is our month, and whilst we've got this month, we're gonna tell everyone the real. We're gonna tell everyone the truth. We're gonna let everyone know, those that are interested from all walks of life, because there's many people that are interested and want to and are seeking the truth. Well, that's an opportunity for us to say, hold on a minute. These people actually shaped history. I'm not saying it's all Black. I'm not going to say it's just actually, no, it's all a lie. Everything that in history that happened was actually came from a Black man. No, I'm not saying that. But significant parts of history, we play a part in that. We really do. Even if you exclude slavery alone, we play a significant part in history. And when I say history, I mean history. I'm not just talking about the last 10 years or 20 or 30, throughout the course of time since man's been alive. So is it appreciated, or has it been appreciated? Absolutely not, in my opinion. And there's groups that try to kind of keep the fire burning and whatnot. But when there's no real focus, then it will just die down naturally. But are we starting to take ownership of it? I believe we are.
Oh, okay, that's very insightful, man. Very insightful. Just want to give a little bit of feedback, I guess, for the listeners, and for you lot as well. Just a little analogy. You mentioned, M, there, that you're not saying all history is like from Black people. Black people done everything and such, and I agree with that. However, in the source of where everything has come from, I think it's very well known that people from our cultural background are the original people on the earth, the first people on the earth, and everything else is a derivative of that. Look into your own history. If you don't believe that, we all know where humans technically started out. Yeah, and we know who predominantly owns and lives on that land. Yeah, so we know that there's a derivative of us. So,
but you just need to, when you say cultural background, all I would say or counter that is that I know what you mean. I know what you mean when you say people, but that you have to be careful when you say people are cultural background, because then you'd have to define what is your cultural background, and then that's a whole nother podcast.
I can step into that too. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. Cool. I won't for this podcast sake, because this is a short little brief little bonus round, but this is set us up for another one. So my analogy is this: no matter how many rivers and lakes and ponds and streams and even the seas, it all comes from one place. People don't say, oh, because that's a river, that's separate water to a next piece of our water. Who separated that? People who define it. But where has it all come from? One place, the earth. So when it comes down to the originators and where knowledge and that came from, you have to go back to the original people. You have to go back to the original people, no matter what. And there has to be credit given. Same as we give credit to our ancestors, to our parents, to our grandparents, and so on and so forth. It will always go back to the original. So there's just a different take on it when you say that not all credit can be given to us. I fully agree with that. We didn't invent everything and do everything. But when you have a basis of knowledge and everything then springs out from there, you have to give credit to the original basis. That's all I'm saying. And on the flip side as well, to what I originally said around this so-called Black History Month, what we learn in schools and that being a derivative of white history, of Black history, I also say to that technically, if we really go there, technically white history is Black history. Technically, the world's history is Black history. If you really want to go there, if we are allowed to be taught from a white perspective, Black history started from slavery, then it's their eyes looking down at us based on the impact they had on us. Well, if we really look at it and look at what we've contributed to the world, then technically shouldn't we be able to look back the other way?
Yeah. Well, I think when we talk about schools, I don't think it was ever like, it's never outright said like this is your Black history. I think just, especially over in the UK, that was just the part of history that they chose to show the UK. That someone decided, right, part of the syllabus, yes, we need to kind of cover an element for Black people. We'll use slavery, and that's kind of stuck. I know sometimes there's a little bit of discussion in schools about maybe Martin Luther King, and maybe Nelson Mandela, but slavery is the main thing that people or that the schools or syllabuses or curriculums have tended to focus on for the longest time. I know that was the case, obviously, when I went through the school system. So immediately when you're learning in school and when you've still got maybe a slightly naive mind because you're young and you're absorbing knowledge, that's what creates your idea of history, the history of Black people. But that's not the case. So yeah, I fully agree. And I understand what we should be able to flip it on its head and say, actually, it is actually Black history.
100%.
It's history. It's history, but it's been put into a box to kind of, it's without having like going really deep into it.
Yeah, it's not too
it
deep.
is, but it is history, and it's what I mean. Like you have subjects at school like science, maths, geography, history, but for some reason that has been given a subsection as Black history, and then it gets crammed into I don't know, 1, 2, maybe even 3 weeks worth of work or study or watching a few videos, and then it's getting brushed along. But that's not really the one. So hopefully we can change that.
I just want to touch on something you said there, Ems. And I think that's very, very important. The fact that you said it didn't take you, or it took you until 29 years of age to fully get into it, to fully see people making effort in terms of putting out there the inventors, the positive side of Black history.
Yep.
And you also touched about how now we're taking ownership of that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that because guess what? We can now turn around and teach our kids. They don't have to wait until 29. They don't have to wait to be told their history by someone else.
Yeah.
We can now start from home when they're young to say, listen, when you go out there, be proud, because we've got so many positives outcomes out there. It's not just negative. So when your teacher is sitting there in front of you saying, oh, we're going to touch on roots today, be like, actually, ma'am, no, can we touch on Black inventors? Yeah, I know a few.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a few.
What purpose would that serve the curriculum? Things are done purposefully, T.
Yes, I hear you. Things are done purposefully. But for me, when we give our kids the knowledge, the right knowledge, whether they've got a hidden agenda or purposefully they're teaching the wrong thing, our kids will be able to correct and say, no, we know a different side to this.
Right.
So guess what?
100%.
We are now pushing back. Now they will turn around and say, look, we can't teach these kids this because guess what? They know more than we do. Not blaming it on the teachers because they just look at the syllabus and they teach what's been given to them.
Yeah.
But guess what? they will now get to understand more because, like you said, Ems, you was 29, right? I was 26. We was all in our late 20s, put it that way. Yeah. We started to learn more. We started to learn more about Black inventors and everything else. So if we are learning at that stage of our lives, think about a person who does not have a connection to us.
Yeah.
100%.
They don't have
100%.
any knowledge. So whether you're a teacher or whoever you are, the fact that you don't have a connection with us, or if you was never interested in history, you wouldn't know. All you will know is your ancestral history, which is not of Black descendant.
100%.
So when now our kids are pushing back at school saying, no, actually this is happening, they are also teaching the teachers themselves. So guess what? They may think, oh, that's interesting. I need to look back into that. I need to look more into that and find out, is it true what these kids are saying? That's the only way we can change it.
The kids are teaching their teachers, which is pretty funny because the teacher has dedicated themselves to education and they become limited in their education because they can only learn from, I guess, approved academia.
And I mean, that could also force the teachers to challenge those above them and say, well, listen, what we're teaching these kids is no point because they're more clued up on this than us. Maybe we need to change the syllabus to better suit them. Of course. If you're a good teacher,
or what they could say,
do that.
Yeah, or what they could say is they try, well, whether it's done in a more sinister way or not. So it's Black history. We'll give it to you, right? You let us know what it's about. Guess what? We'll take the ball and run with it. We will tell you what our history is, as we know it. And the only way we do that is, like Em said, take ownership of that. Teach your kids.
That's the key word. And I always have to be reflective on myself. There's a lot more work I need to do with my own kids and with my own people to get them to a standard that is attainable and achievable. Like, ownership is the key word here, guys. Like, in days of the past, we may have had an excuse to say, well, there's no resource to kind of have this knowledge. In this world now, in the world we live in now, there's no excuse. Like, the knowledge is there, the information is there for us to take ownership and go. And so instead of saying, oh, no one's doing anything about it, like, we can do something about it now. So our responsibility is just to make sure that we're taking ownership and go, you know what, we've got the resource, so we can actually teach our kids. Like, this isn't like many moons ago or many hundreds of years ago where knowledge was seen as a threat, where you had to, or as a Black person, you had to hide your knowledge for various reasons. We don't need to do that anymore. So even if the school syllabuses don't change in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or even 10 years, we can change the mindset and we can equip our children so much better. So those little incidences that we've spoken about in previous podcasts where we've had to challenge teachers ourselves and we feel like isolated, or we've even physically been put into isolation because we spoke up. If there's more people talking like that, then it can't go unnoticed. So it's about kind of making sure our kids are. We've had examples where we've done that, but we've been confident enough to do that because that's just been part of our character. But I'm sure there's many children out there where there's like a conflict where they're hearing something and they might not know, they will just naturally feel, you know what, this isn't right or don't feel right, but they might not have the confidence. This is about installing a confidence and ownership to believe in kind of the truth, basically. And that will make us just stronger people. And you'll see, naturally, like one of you guys has said that, I think Jay said that if it keeps coming up where you've got a teacher teaching something, but they're getting challenged, and then another teacher comes in the staff room, I had a challenge from this person, and I had a challenge, and it's consistent, then the only thing is to go, all right, we can't keep having these challenges in the class because it's disruptive. So why is there a challenge? What's the root cause? The root cause is the material that we're putting out there is wrong or incorrect or just not fully truthful or fully factual, or we're omitting a lot of stuff. That's the push that we need. So we need to, if we take ownership and we build from within, like Tia said, then it just keeps pushing, it keeps putting that pressure on. We've got to keep that pressure. I know we spoke about zeal, but I think the zeal, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a second, but that zeal is changing I think it's just changing shape. I don't think it's fully gone. It's just changing shape in terms of where the energy's being put in, or where we're putting our energy into now. Because I think, like, I'm a massive Marvel head. I think phase 1 is kind of like done, not fully done, but still a lot to work. But I think we're moving into that phase 2. But yeah, we can break that down in another podcast, maybe, or even today.
Okay, so just going over the first, just to summarize in some aspect, we all do not believe that Black history is appreciated by any means within the UK, mainly because the wrong history is being taught. So the push is, in general, to understand the origins of yourself and who you represent and who you are as a nation and as a group of people, and then to instill that knowledge not only into yourself but into the younger generation too, so they're able to have a toolkit, is the best way to put it, to combat the different falsehood of information of their own Black history and the narrative of negativity that comes with our Black history. Our history is not predominantly negative. That narrative has been spun, and we've almost bought into it in some aspects. But now we have the know-how, we have the tools, we have the knowledge that we can instill new knowledge and the truth into us. And with that, you will get a sense of belonging in terms of finding out who you are in terms of your intellectual capacity and your ability to progress. And with that is self-esteem. And when you hold yourself and your people in high regard, they are now no longer seen as, or you now no longer see them as, people who are just consumers and who do not contribute anything to the world as a whole. When we find out that we do, and we have, and we still are, because remember, history is created every day. So when we go out there as Black men, Black women, Black children, Black elders, when we go out there and we do positive or negative, remember, you're creating Black history. Now, what message do you want to come out from your actions? When you pass from this world, or when you influence someone, when you come across them in the street or throughout life, what history are you leaving with them? What Black history are you leaving? Okay.